Hi friends, welcome back to Extraordinary Connections. My name is Dillon Burns. I'm the pastor at Manchester United Methodist Church and glad to be with you for another of our daily devotionals. And the question that I'm asking myself today is one that used to be asked with regularity in Christian circles. What would Jesus do? I grew up in the church in a time where I did have one of those brightly colored cloth bracelets with the embroidered letters WWJD. That, of course, stood for What Would Jesus Do? And the idea was that I would wear it and throughout the day ask myself, what would Jesus do? And then I would do that thing. And I did wear that bracelet every day for a long period of time, though I'm not sure how often I did, in fact, ask myself that question. And it's gone out of vogue in the time since, until recently, when I've seen it show up on social media. We're living in a tumultuous time, and a lot of things going on around us that seem to be dividing us in multiple directions. The pandemic, the Black Lives Matter protests and movement. And so a lot of folks are asking the question, what would Jesus be doing in these regards? Or perhaps more accurately, they are telling other people what Jesus would be doing. And I should say, I have an idea for myself of what I think Jesus would be doing. I think Jesus would be wearing a mask. I think Jesus would be doing everything he could to protect the equality and the dignity of the lives of all people. And that might involve protesting at a Black Lives Matter protest. But at the same time, I've been reflecting on this question, what would Jesus do? And it has occurred to me that throughout the record of Jesus' life, he is very rarely found to be doing what someone else thought that he would do. There is a blind man who was healed by Jesus who certainly didn't expect to be healed with Jesus' saliva. There are a number of money changers in the temple who maybe thought that Jesus wasn't a fan of what they were doing, but certainly didn't think that Jesus would be driving them out by flipping tables and cracking a whip. Jesus' disciples followed him every day for 3 years, listened intently to his teaching, and yet were surprised when he fed the thousands, and then were surprised when he did it again. All throughout the Gospels, Jesus surprises the people with what he does. In fact, there's really only one group of people that feels like they have a sense of what Jesus is up to, and those are the ones that end up crucifying him because they were convinced that what Jesus would do was overthrow the Roman Empire. They were likely wrong, just as all the rest were as well. Jesus has this habit of surprising people by doing the unexpected, embodying the person of God and the love of God in unexpected ways. And so it has occurred to me that the question, what would Jesus do, may not be as easy a question as we might like it to be. That perhaps it's an invitation for more thoughtful, introspective sorts of conversation than it is a chance to be glib and present a position. Over the whole of Jesus' ministry, he says a whole lot of things. Insight into the heart of God and how we can live as those seeking to follow Christ. It's likely good to listen to all of those, seek to follow all of them. Hard to sum it up too much. Though when you do, Jesus provides several options. The most frequently remembered is when he sums up all of the law and the prophets and says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your strength, and your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Which seems fairly straightforward, but loving others is often more of a challenge than the language lets on. And so, in that challenge, I have been leaning into another sort of summation that Jesus provides. And this one I'm reading out of the Gospel of Matthew. It comes out of the Sermon on the Mount. It's chapter 6, and just one verse for us. Chapter 6, verse 33. Instead, desire first and foremost God's kingdom and God's righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. This one verse comes out of a context when Jesus is talking about not worrying about whether we'll have enough to eat, drink, or wear, not worrying about the things of tomorrow, but instead focusing on today and focusing on the kingdom of God, which seems to imply in all of that, looking to build the kingdom of God where all people are welcomed and loved, are treated fairly and freely. And so it seems to imply a listening to others, learning about the experiences of others, seeing the needs of others, so we might know how to go about building the kingdom of God. And so it may be that the question, what would Jesus do, is awfully difficult to answer in any number of situations. Perhaps it's best to start by asking those around us, how can I serve you? What do you need? How can I ensure that you know you are loved? And then to hear their answers and build the kingdom of God so that it may be so. Friends, what would Jesus do? I pray that we work together to find out as we build the kingdom of God. Go in peace. Amen.